This interview covers the experiences and observations of a platoon commander during Operation Union 2. Lieutenant Warner describes the events as he saw them from the beginning of the operation on 26 May 1967 until the operation terminated on 5 June 1967. The name of the interviewee is Second Lieutenant Charles W. F. Warner, 092916 USMC, Platoon Commander, 1st Platoon, Company L, 3rd Battalion, 5th Marines, 1st Marine Division. The name of the interviewer is Master Sergeant Robert H. Oliva, 651559 USMC, Team Chief, 1st Marine Division Historical Team. The location of this interview is at the command post, Company L, 3rd Battalion, 5th Marines, 1st Marine Division, Quang Nam Province, Da Nang, TAOR, Republic of Vietnam. The date is 16 June 1967. The subject of this interview is a platoon commander's participation in Operation Union 2. The classification is secret until downgraded by proper authority. This interview begins 6 feet from this point.
My name is Second Lieutenant Charles W. F. Warner, serial number 092916, United States Marine Corps. 1st Platoon Commander of Lima Company, 3rd Battalion, 5th Marines. My platoon was the first platoon to land in the landing zone on Operation Union 2. I was in the 3rd chopper into the LZ. We landed in a hot zone, and my 2nd squad, which was to the north, came under immediate fire. I was with the 3rd squad to the west and was securing the LZ, that portion of it. After approximately 15 minutes, I moved the rest of my platoon up even with the 2nd squad, which was receiving heavy small arms fire at this time. They had suffered 4 casualties upon leaving their chopper, 1 KIA and 3 WIAs, and were unable to attend to their wounded, being pinned down by the heavy enemy fire. Upon moving the rest of the platoon up even with them, we began evacuating the 4 people that were hit, and were pinned down on a dike when Lieutenant Curtis, the XO, came up to my position, and at this time we learned that the company commander had been hit and that he was now company commander. He proceeded from there on to the other platoons. While he was there, my platoon suffered more casualties. 1 machine gunner was KIA, and several people were WIAs, approximately 3. We moved off the paddies up to a hedgerow, approximately 30 meters under fire, and once there we were again pinned down, where we remained the rest of the day. We were forced to remain in this position because to our direct front the enemy was dug in a bamboo line that extended to my far left and to my far right. On the right they were pinning down the other 2 platoons of the company. Our artillery support at this time had been canceled because of a malfunction in one of the guns, and air would have had to drop their ordnance too close to my positions, and they wouldn't drop them. Our only supporting arm in effect at this time were the 81mm mortars. They were firing for my platoon and the other 2 platoons all morning and the rest of the afternoon that we were out there. I was unable to move forward across another exposed field because my right flank, there was a bamboo line that was had been dug out by the NVA, and they had many troops in it, and into my direct front they had more troops. Mike Company was to come up and sweep from my left to my right, but they were unable to penetrate the wood line at any point. During this period, I was suffering heavy casualties from the heavy volume of fire from the enemy. I was returning their fire with my small arms fire, my rockets that were attached, my machine guns, and my M79s. My people at this time also were able to throw grenades in on the enemy positions, even though they were unable to see them. We received word that Mike Company was to come approximately at noon, and at this time we proceeded to consolidate our position, pull back our wounded and dead and all our equipment. Both my corpsmen had been hit, and the platoon was using a buddy aid system for each other. I had suffered at this time approximately 9 KIA and 14 WIAs in the platoon. The rest of the afternoon, the men without water, using the air ammunition and the ammunition from the WIAs and the KIAs, were laying down a base of fire so we could extract our wounded and get them to a safe area. Mike Company came up to my position behind my lines approximately at 15:30. At this time they attempted to penetrate the wood line from my position, but when they initially jumped off they were hit by 82mm mortars and small arms fire. As they moved across the field, their company suffered casualties moving into the tree line, but they were unable to sweep the bamboo line to my direct right front. It was this bamboo line that had us pinned down and the other two platoons of Lima Company. At 1600, we had finally gotten all our WIAs and KIAs out of the area and retrieved all our gear, and the platoon moved back to the battalion CP. Here we set up a hasty defense for the battalion command group and resupplied ourselves with ammunition. One fire team was sent out to provide security for a downed chopper, and they came under mortar attack, killing one and wounding another. As night approached, the other two platoons began extracting their wounded and dead from the open paddies, and Sergeant Goulash, my first squad leader at the time, was put in charge of a unit to go out and help them, bringing back their equipment and wounded personnel. We were unable to set in for the night as the battalion CP again came under mortar attack, and we had to move the CP. We finally were able to set in that night around 2200, with the last elements coming in around 2400. We set in for the night and received no fire during the night. At 0430, my platoon moved out to a ville which we secured for the battalion command group. They later moved up to it after they had extracted the battalion wounded that morning. We remained there that day and then moved out to a hill and set up there the rest of the day. The rest of the day, and for the remaining 3 days, my platoon became the rear security for the battalion, with Mike and India companies being up ahead of the battalion command group. We moved to Hill 63 during a night movement, set up positions there. The next day when we moved out from Hill 63, the battalion moved to the Cam Law area and set up positions there for the night, being resupplied. The next morning, moving out early, we moved to Quay San. There we set up a base for the night. The next morning we were lifted out by choppers and landed in landing zone Blue Jay, approximately 18 miles northwest of Tam Key. From here, the battalion moved up to a plateau, again having a night movement into the defensive positions for the night. During the day, we had come under small arms fire, primarily sniper fire, and had spotted 4 VC only. Following our night defense here, we moved across the plateau and over the mountains just north of Tam Key. Here we were again resupplied with chow and ammunition, but also our first replacements of men came in at this time. Again setting in for the night, we moved out the following day with Mike Company at the battalion's rear, Lima Company following the battalion CP. Came under sniper fire during the day, but our movement was not restricted by this fire. We continued to move and moved approximately 8,000 meters, and at 1700 we were going to set in. At this time, we received a regimental order to make a night movement to come into positions moving into positions that night near Fook Haw. We set up our positions and early the next morning moved out for objectives 3, 4, and 5. The battalion moved out with Mike Company and India Company ahead and Lima Company in trace. At Din An 1, India Company came under heavy fire, NVA ambush, and Mike Company swept to their right flank, sweeping through Din An 1. This time the battalion held up as they were receiving heavy fire from Vin Hue 3. Mike and India Company were ordered to make a night assault, and Lima Company was to protect the battalion CP. That night the battalion CP came under mortar fire, and the company suffered 3 casualties. At this time the battalion CP was under consistent sniper fire during the day and during the night. The next morning, battalion CP, 1 platoon from Kilo Company, and the rest of Lima Company moved out to Vin Hue 3, where we set up for 2 days. Here the battalion rested and began a detailed search of the area. We had learned that we had hit a regimental/division CP, and we were searching the area primarily for bodies and weapons. Within the company's positions, we turned up 2 NVA bodies, and the next day we searched out another village, taking 7 prisoners, 6 of whom were confirmed as NVA. That afternoon, we moved out late, again to a hill due west of Hill 63, approximately 500 meters from it. The battalion set up there for the night, and the following day made the march across the Song Li Li River to Kwe San, where we were lifted out by chopper at the end of the operation.